he's practically folding in half. Like, oh my goodness, it makes my back hurt just looking at him.
Like, is it because it's like too short?
No, that's just, I guess that's what's comfortable. I've tried to like kind of correct his spine. Remember I used to do that to you? I would kind of poke you back here to make you sit up. So I did that with him for a while, but he would just kind of like, he'd sit up and then just go right back. Like, ugh, I'm not going to sit here the whole time, you know? Whatever. Okay. How about let's start with a warm-up. You can pick it. You can do cross lateral. We can do some double base stuff. You can do, yeah.
Cross lateral.
Okay, go for it. Remind me why that's helpful. Why is that a good exercise?
Because I don't remember.
So, what is easier coordination? Both hands, both feet, or making an X across your body?
Both hands, both feet.
Yeah, our body's like symmetry. We like to do right hand, right foot. We like to do left hand, left foot. We like even more doing both hands or both feet. So we like this symmetry more than this, but the thing we hate the most is across. Okay?
Even though it's easy, just...
I mean, sure, but so that's, let's say those are 16th notes. You're doing 1 E enda, 2 E enda, 3 E enda, right? How much faster could you do 16th notes on just your hands? So that's my point, is that you've worked on it and gotten a lot better at it, which is why it feels easy, which is good. But it will never be as easy as just your hands. That's just going to be an easier coordination for you. So.
Or...
Yeah. So, and then what can happen is the more you practice one over another, you can kind of overcome that. So I tend to be able to play faster with doubles than singles, like most of the time, because I practice doubles more, like way more than I practice singles. So it kind of makes up that difference. But if you, for example, if you're practicing the cross lateral, that's gonna more than just double bass. Eventually, your coordination that way is going to be stronger because you practice it more. Sort of talked about styles, right? I think, was I talking to Holden about that, or was that something that...
You were talking different styles and calling styles for him.
Okay.
And you were also...
I had Holden do this week, and I thought, it's another one of my students. I thought maybe I said that to you too, but I didn't write it down, so I must not have. What I'd like you to try this week is I'd like you to try to write down every style that you can think of that we've ever gone over before. Okay? And you can kind of include different versions, right? So you can put a shuffle and you can put a halftime shuffle, for example. You know, you can put variations on bossa. You can, whatever it is that we've done in here, but I want you to think of as many as possible. Because the big thing is that I want to compile at some point a big list that you can have. Maybe you can tape it up in your drum room or something like that. And what we should get to a point is at any point, Dad should be able to come in, point to one of those on the list, and you can just play it. Okay? So the more that we let one go, and then we point to it and say, okay, play me a samba, and you go, oh, I don't remember how to play it. Oh, good. That is how it should work. So, good. But that's how it should work all the way down the list, because that's the only way that they are usable, if that makes sense. To say, I know a bossa, and they go, oh, really? Can you show me? And you go, oh, shoot, I know I learned it at some point. That's not usable, right? You can't use that in a rehearsal. Someone would have to remind you. And so I want to make sure that all of these things that you've worked hard on, they're usable. You know what I mean? Okay, so let me write that down before I forget, but I want to do some of that this week. Did my stuff all got moved around? Styles is that we need to be able to play at least 8 bars or so, because if you can play 8 bars, then you can probably play 16 bars, you know. It's only if it's too fast that you'll start to go under. But we should also know how to do a couple fills. We should be able to fill in and out of the style. So it doesn't do a lot of good if the only thing you can do is do Dutch, do Dutch, do Dutch, do Dutch, do, right? You start playing a samba and you go, well, I can't do any fills. I can't go in and out of it. I have a hard time counting it. You're just repeating a pattern at that point. It's not music. So to be able to fill and to contrast sections, things like that, that's all important stuff that needs to be able to happen. Okay? So
Like
we'll
this?
kind of work our way through that.
Like filling in and out and like going in and out like this.
So that is a useful skill, but it's a very niche environment that comes up. There's some jazz tunes that kind of pivot between swing and Latin, but you're not going to get like a punk tune that just on a dime is going to drop into a samba. You know, they'll usually have like if they're going to do that at all, which is very rare, they'll have like a break and you'll hear that the singer is changing styles or whatever, and then the whole band will jump back in almost always. But musical theater will do that. So if you decide that later on you want to actually pursue this for like money and stuff, and you get a call to work for a musical, musicals will do that. Because you have very quick scene changes, and the different scene changes have different styles of music that they want you to play. So I'm not going to worry too much about that right now. The big one is that when I ask you to play a samba, you can play it for a while without it getting dull, right? If I told you to play rock, if you asked me to play rock for you and I just did this, no variation, no fill, no nothing. I'm just going to hold this, right?
Or
Some places will ask you to do that, you know, that's what they want for their song. But most of the time, people want a little more flavor than that, you know?
like this.
Well, now you've changed styles. I will say that it is interesting that you're starting to gravitate more to that kind of swingy, hip-hop kind of a thing.
Rock's just like straight, not like
Well, That's what I'm talking about. That was what my game was this morning. He had me playing that. So I was playing something more like this. Right? So that was kind of what I was doing this morning, but that's not really rock. It's very straight. That what you're leaning into is the it's implied triplets. You're not playing all the triplets. Where you put your bass drum right there, that implies a triplet. Rather than if it was rock, right? Shift it over just a little bit. That's the difference between an eighth note or the let of a triplet. No longer implicit. You are definitely using triplets when you move over to a shuffle. But the hip hop thing, that's implied. Okay. So let me just run through a big list of styles that I've worked on with a lot of my students, and if any of them don't sound familiar to you, we can either go over them or whatever. But just to kind of remind you, right? So, what about? I'm gonna start a little more obscure because I'm not gonna say, "Oh, play me a punk." I know you know how to play punk. I'm not gonna ask you to play rock. I know you know how to play rock. Jazz swing, right? So let's go halftime shuffle. You very clearly played for me there. So what about a regular shuffle? Do you know a regular shuffle? So I think last time we talked about blues shuffle, right? Do you remember that from last time? You don't remember it? Okay.
I remember that we talked about it, but I don't remember.
You just move the shuffle to your snare drum. Da 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 da. So that one gets used. What about, let's say, Latin rock, like Santana kind of stuff? Have we done anything like that?
Nope.
Okay.
You did Smooth by Santana and Rob Tom.
So what it is it's honestly pretty easy to grab. It's the middle ground between like a samba and rock. So samba feet, boom, 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 right? So think of that but with a rock groove. That's one. Samba, you played a little bit for me earlier. Do you remember Bossa?
No.
Nope. So, Bossa, think Girl from Ipanema. Quick reminder, where is Bossa usually played? Like a big concert venue? Bunch of people all run around in circles, pushing each other, everybody's screaming.
That's like that punk.
Not really, right?
It's not a mosh pit? No, darn.
I've never moshed to Girl from Ipanema. It's like hotel lobbies, at the beach. Think like fancy places. So if it's fancy, you're not going to want to play it like a rock drummer, right? Yeah, just with more delicacy. Doesn't necessarily have to just be quieter, but you want it to be delicate. The longer you went, the more and more it became rock. I know. We always want to speak our first language, and so, imagine you're like, hey, could you play me some punk? And I go, oh yeah, sure. You'd be like, what the heck? It's weird, right? It's not. Yeah. So it's just kind of one of those things where it's like you want to think in the style as much as you can. Okay. This is one of the harder ones, and I've taught a lot of variations on this one, so I'm curious what you got. But did we ever do a mambo?
Yes. It was.
What do you remember?
Pair to the left.
Okay, that one. So don't worry about that for now, because that one. I remember that being a huge struggle. So I've actually got an easier version of a mambo that we can go over later, and that'll be more workable for you rather than something that is just pulling your brain apart. And then if someone asked you to play,
that was when I was younger.
I do understand, and you are more coordinated now for sure, but
Everyone's
I'm just
still explodes.
it's rough. So I would want you to have something workable first, because the more stressed you are, the less likely it's going to come out. And so if you're in a situation where they're like, oh, quick, we need somebody who can play a mambo, and you're like, oh, I'm not ready yet, you're going to be stressed out and it might fall apart, in which case that's no good. So if I gave you something that was a lot easier, you can start with that and work your way up as you start to feel more comfortable. Okay?
He was just, in mambo, he was just barely getting the groove down with the...
And then you
pair
have
to
to
the
do like
left.
these odd feats, like 1 and a 2
Yep. That's how it works. They got those odd feats.
Feats?
That's what you said.
They got those odd feats.
I said you had me doing
I love
odd
mambo,
feats.
especially the odd feats.
You said odd beats first, dude.
I said you had me doing the odd foots.
Odd foots?
I have 2 foots.
I like
1 million or 2 million.
I like odd feats. Sounds like a good name for a ska band. The Odd Feats.
The
Opening for Real Big Fish.
Yeah.
Someone just dancing around on the ceiling.
I've definitely had big like ska kicks for a while. Where I get like really into it, and then it kind of falls off the back burner, and then I get really into it again, and then it falls off. But I think in fact we even kind of went over one of the songs. That was one of our like
Big Cat, Little Cat?
improv
Or
days
Alley Cats.
where I just put on a song and said, okay, try to hang with this, and it was a Streetlight Manifesto song.
Yes.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I think I
It was
remember that.
At least it had like no bad words. No, like 1.
Yeah, I try to make sure that I filter for that before I bring you something.
You could just like bzzzt it out.
How do I do that on Spotify? Just yell bizzed?
Yeah.
Just remove his headphones real quick.
Yeah. I'll pull the headphones.
No, just like.
I can do that when you have your headphones on.
Click his ear.
Yeah.
Well, as long as you don't.
Bam!
As long as you don't ruin them, then you have to pay for them.
Yeah.
We've all had to pay for many headphones in our
And
careers.
I know.
And I'm gonna pick the
I'm
most
gonna end up with a
expensive
headphone
pair
graveyard.
of headphones,
Oh
and I'll
boy.
make you pay for that.
Wow. Good luck. Okay, so we'll I think we've spent enough time on it today. I just
I
wanted
want to do that more.
I want you to do that this week. I want you to try to make a list.
Can we just do it now?
No.
That's this week.
You want to run over the mambo now? That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, I thought you were going to get back and
What
get
are we
into
doing?
that for...
We'll do.
15
We'll
or
do.
5?
Then I want to make sure that we also get our jazz stuff in today. So let's work it a little bit. So first off, what I want. Do you remember the Bayou feat? So you're already halfway there. So first off, switch to cross stitch. good. You didn't remember it, so I wanted to go over it. But I think that's one of the easier ways to play a mambo. And so for you to have that in your pocket, you can, if someone has, hey, I need something like that. A lot of times what'll happen is it'll be like a band director at a school or something like that, and they don't know how to articulate the different, they're like, oh, I need a Latin feel, and you'll play a Latin feel, but it's not the right feel. No, I need something else. So most of the time, at least in my experience, they'll tell you to play something Latin, but they don't know what kind of Latin they want. And so you'll have to kind of just go through them until you find one that sounds good. But I would say that should be, practice that a little bit too, because odds are, if they're going to have you play that, it's going to be cooking.
I can't even keep my. I have to go.
So you could flip your stick might be a little easier.
Don't do that in your mambo game. Yep. Okay. So, yeah, to be able to play that quickly, but just because you can play it faster, the faster you play it, the more you're going to turn back into a rock drummer, because that's your default, right? So to get so comfortable at it that even when you speed it up, you know, to be able to do that kind of a thing without it all of a sudden becoming, you know, that big rock foot that we have. Yeah, trust me, I know. My first 3-5-4s sounded a lot like that. You know, Al's teaching me this stuff a couple years ago, and I'm playing 3-5-4s like. He's like, you can't do that. Yeah. Let's not reinforce that. Make sure that you practice it in the style that you're going to use it in. So if you're going to use that in jazz, I use it a lot when I play jazz, but you can't play it like that if you're going to use it in jazz. You're playing it like a rock drummer. So just remember, when you're playing a style, you need to think in that style. You need to sound like that style, not just copy the motions. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's something that it's a good reminder to have. Maybe on your list you could put a little star next to the ones that you need a reminder for, so that you're not, you know, playing bossa nova in a giant, you know, football stadium.
Well, if I was, I just, you know.
You'd be mic'd up.
Okay, cool. Well, you already have that then, so we don't need to go over it because you've already got that.
I don't
So,
know bossa nova.
I think one of the other ones, we might have talked about this a little bit, but the soca is one that recently came to my attention because of a praise song that my church started playing. It's the, like, reggaeton beat.
Reggaeton.
Yeah. So you're coordinated enough to pick these up fast. It's just a matter of like
I
maybe.
think you talked about that to me. I don't know that. I don't recognize.
I had to have because I
soca.
didn't explain anything to you right there. I just sang the groove for you and you were able to do it. So I know that we would have talked about it at some point in order for you to be able to pop into it that fast.
I don't know
So.
the name. Soca.
SOCA.
I thought it was S-O-K-A.
Nope.
Soca.
That's a university in Irvine. Totally different.
Or soca. Soca.
Soaker?
Like soca.
Like a super soaker?
Oh, God.
I don't have any. They always take them away and I break them.
You break them. We don't take them away.
Really? I've been missing one for 5 years.
That was probably broken.
Yeah,
ended up in the trash.
they still took it away.
If it's broken.
It counts.
Okay. Alright. Let's
Easy on the foot there, shooter.
What the heck? replace his headphones. What happens if you bust my bass drum head?
He
We got
played-
we got one.
He let me practice with a big foot for so long.
You practice with your own foot,
Hey,
not my foot.
you practice.
I didn't quite like that to put you in the jazz mood. All right. So now that you're very clearly in a jazz frame of mind. All right. How about, so all joking aside, how about let's actually put you in a jazz frame of mind. Go ahead and just play some swing and do some comps. That was nice. That was softer than I thought you could go. Oh man. Alright. You're gonna undo all the work you just did. Stop. Do you know what stop means?
No.
You're gonna learn because I'm gonna start bopping you on the head until you say stop, and
It's
I
a
won't
fi-
stop.
It's a 5-letter word. STAHP.
It's about to be. Alright. Here we go.
What?
Oh yeah. We have rock brain on, so this doesn't make any sense.
Do.
So turn jazz brain on.
Ow! That just put wrong brain on. I said him.
Alright. Jazz brain is on. Go.
No.
Did I get the wrong switch? Where is it?
Everything with jazz.
Everything but jazz? Where is it? Over here?
That's my mom boat.
No, we need jazz switch. So turn your jazz brain on.
I don't have one.
None of this?
I don't have a jazz brain.
Alright,
Come on, Bubba.
here we go. Can we focus up?
Yes, I'm trying to
Alright.
think.
Yep. So let's piece it
Hold
together.
on.
We can piece it together.
Bat, boom, rough bar, crash.
Mm-hmm. I've had fun goofing around. Okay, I've been, poking at you and doing all this other stuff, cracking jokes and stuff too, but now it's time to get serious, okay? Can we do it? Just for a little bit. And then you'll be done with your lesson, you can go back home and play. And
Well, no,
go
we
get
have to
your-
go to open house straight after this.
Okay, well then you've got other things you gotta do. But let's focus up, alright? Okay? Good.
One more time.
Sure.
No.
I remember this being frustrating last week
Yeah,
until
'cause
you
I'm
could
always
hear the
on
metronome. Yes, sir. You have to learn to be off of it too. You want the Met?
I'm trying to be off the beat.
I know you're trying. And that's the thing about these kinds of discussions is it's never that you're not trying. It's that it's hard and it takes a couple goes to get used to it. Stay in jazz brain. Let's keep our have been letting off steam since you got in here. This time, let's put some steam on. Okay. Let's go again. That was 2 in a row. Good.
3 in a row.
Did we do 3 with the Met? I think it was only 2.
No, I said do it again, and you said one more time.
Well, whatever. All right. What about here? I think this one is
The
up.
dibbity bots.
This one's a little bit trickier at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's easier.
Yep. I have it maybe totally not memorized.
Don't look away. Make sure you're reading.
Kind of.
So, the thing to practice with something like this is practicing stopping in different places. Because this is a very common pattern, but it will not always go around until you get back onto the downbeat. Sometimes it's only 2 measures. 1, a 2, and a 4, and 1, and a 3, and 4, and G, 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 G.
Alright.
Right? There's things like that. So you only have 2 bars, so they only do it for 2 bars. You know, maybe there's a 1 bar setup, and then they do it for 3 bars. And then you would come in on 1. 1 and 2 and a 4 and 1 and a 3 and 4 and a 2 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So being able to do all of these, this one, only 1 measure would be the easiest because rock and metal use that a lot too. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. That kind of stuff gets used all the time. So you've used this plenty, but you've used this less and this less. Okay? Why do you think it works out that 3 measures takes you back to the downbeat? Why do you think you don't get to the downbeat until 3 measures? Think of you have to approach this from a math perspective. So
I was
math
gonna
wise.
say him. He does math all the
Okay,
time.
but I'll help you out. So I'm gonna get you started. What time are you in? Are you in 6? Are you in 5?
We're in 4-4.
You're in 4-4, okay? So you're in 4. How many?
3 goes on a 4 12 times, and it never meets up with any other 4. Anytime but 12. Anytime before 12, it doesn't meet up.
Bingo.
So the 12 things, there's 12 beats. If you put all 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. 4, 8, 12.
Or 3,
6,
like,
9, 3, 6, or yeah, 3,
3,
6, 9, 12.
6, 9, and then 3.
Yeah. I guess it does it twice, right? 6, 9, 12, 3, 6, 9, 12. And then you're back here.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So that's why it works up that way. It's because you're playing in an even meter, but you're playing off. Okay? It's the same as, I don't know if you remember when we used to do these a long time ago. Remember this one? Do you remember what that is?
Oh, it was like this.
Well, that's 3-5-4. This is a different thing. What is that?
I don't know.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you have, what's 5 plus 5 plus 5?
15.
And in a bar of 4, how many 16th notes do you have? You have 16, right? So that means you have 1 left over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 1. You have the one extra little note at the end. That's the triplets. So that's 3, 5, 4. That adds up to 12. The 5s are a little bit different. So it's important to know those things because that's how you add them up. When I had that gig with Snarky Puppy, they had a song that did that. And I was listening to it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't keep up with this. What is it? Ba, 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 boom. Like, what in the world is happening right there? And I had someone explain to me, oh, they were just groupings of 5. Once I was able to think of it that way, then I was totally fine. But I needed that to be explained to me. So the more that you know the math and you can kind of figure those things out. What about this one? Or
Yep, it's 7.
Yeah.
It's 14 to 7.
Yep. Yeah, good.
1, 2,
3, 4, 5. 4, 5, 6, 7.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14,
15, 16. Yep. So same thing when you do that. So that's where I get those crazy things from that drive Brian crazy. You just you can put the emphasis in different places and it makes it hard to follow. Sounds like you're really doing some neat stuff.
It's when you really bury your ears into the metronome and forget what the drummer's doing.
You know what's funny? At a sound check for church the other day, we were just kind of, everybody was getting crazy. Like bass was popping off, my dad was popping off, everybody was just popping off. And so at one point we get to this fill and I did groupings of 7 in the fill and he just turned around and he looked at me and then I went for the crash and he jumped back in. He just had no, he's like, well, what you're doing I'm sure is correct, but I have no idea where the downbeat is anymore. So I'll just watch for your crash and I'll come back in. So it was just kind of funny. I go, yeah, and I'm like trying to explain it to him. He goes, oh, cool, anyway. So, all right. So that's these two. I feel that these are good.
That's mind-blowing already enough.
Mind-blowing?
You've known those ones already.
I've never done number 2.
Okay. What do you mean no, you haven't done number 2? When I pointed out, you said I basically have it memorized.
Mm-hmm.
I basically don't.
You memorized one you've never seen? All right. Well, let's take a look at this. Look at that first measure. That should look pretty familiar. What is that?
I don't know.
What do you mean?
I should put...
Are you using your brain?
Come on, dude.
It looks like a triplet. 3 notes on the first 4.
What is that?
Oh, rough.
Well, what kind of note is it?
Look.
Roomba.
No, I'm not asking for those. I'm asking for what kind of note.
Dotted quarter.
Dotted quarter.
Dotted quarter. Quarter. Roomba.
What is this?
It's doobity-ba turned into another doobity-ba.
It's exactly the same thing. So see, that was why I was saying it's important to break it up because look, it's already evident that they break it up.
Do. But then it doesn't go to another ba-doo-ba.
Sure. But that's why you need to know. Dooba dooba da. That's all it is. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Okay. I mean, not like a rock drummer. Do it like a jazz drummer. Okay. What's that? Yeah. It's a roomba. So far, no big deal, right? Dooba dooba, bop, doop, bop, roomba.
Then do-ba. That's like
Ooh, this one, I won't blame you if you forget. We've only done this one other time. This one's tricky.
do-ba-doo-ba-ba-doo.
So if it was this, it would be rough bark bark, but you have to be careful because you have that added.
Rough bark bark.
So let's break it up.
Rough bark bark crash.
Because it's not another upbeat. What is that?
About
You're close. That's what this is. What is this?
I don't know. Set up.
Roomba.
Roomba.
Roomba. Set up. Okay. ba ba ba. Yeah. Yeah, and then that's going to be a crash. You're going to hold it through beat 1. You're going to play a snare on 2 and a crash on 3. Ba ba ba. Da. Room. For a first go, that was. You gotta be careful. Hey. So just because we have headset on, don't start crushing, right? You said 4, 2.
3.
Yeah, but you can't skip 1. You gotta treat this like it's a half note.
That sounds like.
4. So, right. 4, 1, 2, 3. 4, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. And then go as slow as you want. I got no met. If you could play it in time at that speed, fine, but you won't. Hey. Am I getting frustrated, right? That was very close. There was one thing wrong. What was it? Yeah, you just didn't hold this long enough. All of this was correct. That, you were clipping that note. That's it.
It's just keeping me going. It makes me pause and it's throwing me off.
So, how about this then?
I mean, like, isn't that the way to play it?
I mean, no. You're skipping. There's a tie here.
Maybe if we go like.
So if you have to keep track of time, if you have to, listen. What you can do, you can crash on 4, just hit the ride by itself on 1. Ding, ja, bzz, bzz, ja. There you go. 4, 1, 2, 3. Time, that little ding helped hold you over. But that is something that as a drummer we also have to get comfortable with, is we have to be comfortable with space. But that's what I tell people all the time. A lot of my students, we talk about this. I think it's easier to solo at 300 beats per minute than it is to solo at 60. Trying to solo slow is really hard because you have a ton of empty space. When you're going fast, you can play, you can just do things. Basically everything I did was all 8 notes, but it sounded good, right? It sounded pretty decent. But you get to one of these, boom, right? It's a lot harder to make use of just this big, wide, empty space. Okay? So when we have something like this, it's uncomfortable. You're not used to having space. You're filling space. That's what you do most of the time. But every once in a while, they're going to ask you for some open space. I remember having a conversation with Al, being really frustrated because it felt like the hardest things in this book were having to play half notes. I thought, am I just dumb? Half notes should be the easiest thing to play on here, and that was what he told me. He goes, actually, it can be kind of the opposite. You get into jazz brain, so you want to play everything on the upbeat, and you want all these fast notes, these setups, and all this stuff. Sometimes they want you to just play a note and lay out. And that's one of the harder things to You spend so much time practicing not doing that then when they ask you to do it, it gets weird. Okay? So don't look at that and think, oh, these are just half notes. This should be easy as heck. You should be aware of those, you know? Just understand. When you see one with a lot of empty space, understand that might be trickier than you would think. Okay? So, you know, looking at a bar like this, it's like maybe not so bad, but just 2 beats of empty space and a half note? That might be weird.
I'd just be like...
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
Like,
And odds are we'll put something in that space because it still has slashes, meaning it still wants us to play some kind of time. But if I just asked you to play only what's on the page and not any of the slashes, that would just be a bunch of dead space followed by a half note, which also, then another half note. So it's just a lot of space. Okay? You'd have to count in your head really hard, and that could be tough. All right. How are we doing time-wise? Yeah, we're about out. So we worked on that one today. Okay? So you can work on that one a little bit at home. Learn that one. Okay? Bonus points if you want to go further, but come back with that one next week. Okay? So 2 major things I want you to do this week. What are they? I'll write them down.
List
You're going to make a list?
and try to get number 4.
And then you're going to try to get number 4. Good.